And I can see why it doesn't, okay? There's 2 restraining orders here, and there's a year in the difference, and I was making more money at a different job at the time I applied for this house.
I absolutely know that there are 2 restraining orders. Now, at some point, he came back to the house. You want to tell me your version? Now you know that I've been in your business, what you got involved in, for 40 years. I know exactly what you did. I know exactly what you wanted, what you thought you were entitled to, and I know exactly what you did. Now, you want to tell me about the second time you filed a restraining order after February of 2016 that kept getting adjourned and adjourned and adjourned by the lawyers and adjourned, keeping him out of the house. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me the date. Tell me what happened, and then
The date was 3/10/17.
Now, what had precipitated that? Had you been having discussions about the sale of the house?
We had tried to, and then he had me drop the restraining order, which I did.
Okay. Now, he had you drop the restraining order when?
It was February 16th, I believe, of 2017.
And tell me how it came about that I'm going to believe, Miss Meadows, how he convinced you to drop the restraining order.
We had reconciled a bit. We decided to...
What does a bit mean, that we had reconciled
We started sleeping together again.
When? Month and year? Month?
It was right after Christmas.
January.
Correct. January
2017.
Correct.
And you were sleeping together in whose house?
Our house.
His house. Shh, I don't want to hear it. In his house. So he said, I'm not coming to the house if you have a restraining order against me. The first time you're using your brain. So for how long was he coming to the house in January 2017?
Like a couple weeks.
And when did you drop the restraining order?
It was February 16th it got filed.
The application to withdraw the restraining order?
I gave that application to him as a show of good faith that we would do this. And he filed it. I don't know when he filed it, but I know that's the date it was signed.
Did you ever file her application to withdraw the restraining order?
Yes.
Okay, so it was filed. Go ahead. So that's February 16th, you signed that. Now you're sleeping together.
Right.
Keep going.
Then he started getting mean and drinking and drunk and pushing and shoving and shutting the gas off and stealing things.
Just a second. Wait a second. Is what you're telling me he's living in the house?
No, Your Honor. He was living in Monticello with his daughter.
And just coming over for
Correct.
An evening?
He had nothing at the house.
Just coming over for an evening and staying a couple of days here and there?
Not even a couple of days. Yes, correct.
So now he's filed your case where you said, I don't need a restraining order anymore. And then what happened?
Like I said, he started getting what I call weird, okay?
That's what you said in February 2016.
He would come over. I called the police 3 separate times. I called 911, okay? He was caught stealing, breaking into the house, the garage, his house, so he says, but the locks were changed. We lived there. He lived in Monticello.
Just a second. Just because you changed the locks doesn't make you any less of a squatter. You're a squatter when you live someplace that isn't yours, that you don't pay rent on. That makes you a squatter.
I have equitable rights, Your Honor.
No, you didn't. No court in this country will tell you had equitable rights in this country. Equitable is when you're married. You're not.
So all the money that I put in is just out the window.
You didn't put in any money. You lived in the house for 2 months before you filed a restraining order. There was a total of $1,000 put down on the house, according to you, which is what you told me before. And he paid the mortgage for 10 months while you and your kid were living there. So how much money did you put into the house in the 2 months you were living there?
When I was living there, Your Honor, I made no more than $20,000 for one, okay?
That's not what you told me a moment ago.
The first restraining order, you asked me how much I made.
That's exactly
That's not the restraining order I was talking about.
Well, get back to what I'm talking about. February 2016, you had moved into the house 2 months before. In the 2 months that you lived there with him, how much money did you put into the house? So for 2 months,